If you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. That is not true. I'm Jonathan Chasner with Zillicoah Beer Company, make beer, cellar beer, part of this three-headed dragon.
And I'm John Parks, and I'm the head brewer.
Jeremy Chasner, and I'm typically the guy behind the computer, also a part of that dragon. Zillicoah Beer Company is professionally sort of the product of over a decade of beer industry work. John and I are brothers, and Parks is sort of a brother from another mother. We sort of got the spark to try our hand at homebrewing, and they moved up to Asheville. You know, they kind of started trying to get their foot in the door, knocking on doors of breweries around town. A few years later, I moved up to Asheville as well, and that's kind of where I learned the business end of things. And we really started honing in on what this project could and would be and what it would look like. We found this place, 870 Riverside Drive. It was just perfect. It was big, open space, more or less 5,000 square feet. It's situated right here on the French Broad River. We have 878 feet of riverfront flowing by in the back. And we opened our doors to the public for the first time October 20th, 2017. And here we are.
The model that we started with was a unique one. We started without a brew house, which really allowed us to put all of our capital into our cellars. We have a split cellar setup to where we do both mixed culture beer and single cell fermentation, for our lagers. So we were able to really focus on that and define ourselves as a brewery that specializes in lager, open fermentation for our lagers, and mixed culture farmhouse beers.
I think we just liked Asheville. It felt like a place where you could go and kind of do what you wanted to do. It was almost like where young people go to retire from like the grind world, the 9-to-5 world. Everybody is super nice. Coming from fast-paced Miami and Florida in general, it was just a very different feel. And I think we came up here, we were homebrewing at the time, but it had never occurred to me, at least, that it could be a career. But we came up here to make music, really, and to just have a good time in this beautiful place. And then seeing all these small breweries, it kind of made it a reality that you could get a job in a brewery and you can make beer and make a living for yourself doing that. And that is kind of what sparked, us wanting to do our own thing. And 10 years later, we were able to do it.
Yeah, so we're doing a honey wheat ale, and it's inspired by the first beer that we ever brewed. We always kind of deviated from the path a little bit and ended up throwing some honey in there, and it turned out great. It turned out awesome. Beer just kind of primordially exists, and then being introduced to fermentation, it was like, oh, this is like an art.
We also open ferment this beer, and we're can conditioning it. So we're gonna have a lot more ester fruit production, like aromas coming out of that beer because of the open fermentation and the geometry of that tank.
And so we found it fitting to revisit that recipe and just kind of, rekindle an old flame.
My name is Jillian Kelly, and I am one of the owners of the Asheville Bee Charmer. We are a local honey store here. We have our baristas and bee sommeliers who sit behind the honey bar and let you taste some absolutely wonderful local honey. One of the wonderful things about Asheville is the amount of collaboration and the deep roots that run in this community. So when we were approached about this project, we were all on board.
We reached out, touched base, and found that we were like-minded in our approach. And from there, it was really picking which type of honey we were going to use. And the sourwood really, it spoke to us in a lot of different regards of just, the taste profile. That's really all we needed. Just a little bit of the taste. We were like, oh, that is right in line with the profile that we're looking for. And then the story of the sourwood tree was, kind of a no-brainer. Honey is like 99% fermentable, so it ferments out. But what you end up with, you definitely get some aroma and mouthfeel. So it's present. And coupled with the estery fermentation that Parks was talking about, this yeast gave off a lot of pear note to it. So it's kind of like, and we used a lot of wheat from Riverbend. So all those flavors are melding together.
I think using local ingredients is very important in that, somebody coming down from New York is going to have a beer here that they're never going to have in New York. And I think that's a beautiful thing, to have a local kind of flavor to what you're doing, and I think that's great. Having White Labs here is incredible. You can just go pick up yeast without having to have it shipped. It's great having them here. And we chose the yeast, I think mainly because we were, it's that beer that we brewed was so long ago, and we're trying to remember how something tasted, when we were a different person. And I remember it being pretty clean, but sort of Hefeweizen-y, and that American Hefeweizen yeast, which is what we chose, seemed to fit the bill for what we remembered. It seemed like a good fit for this honey wheat, kind of a clean, Americanized version of a German wheat beer.
To be involved in a project like this is always exciting for us. Anytime we have the chance to collaborate with brewers on something unique that they want to do. And with this project, I think what's been so exciting is, from the initial get-go and the initial meeting, they also wanted to incorporate other local products, right? And so we have Riverbend Malt, local malt company. We have White Labs using the yeast. Well, for Zillicoah, that beer, it's really interesting. I don't know if that was their first homebrew they did. And so they picked that yeast. Why that yeast? Because it brought back a memory, for them, that's how they started. And why American wheat versus a German wheat? Well, they really want a clean, crisp, drinkable wheat beer, which is more of the American. So you don't get a lot of that banana clove. You just get an easy drinking beer.
Having Riverbend here is incredible. It's a defining kind of development within craft beer in North Carolina and the whole region. It's really opened up a source to kind of pull from and create more of a regional taste, which I love about the craft beer movement. Is you're starting to get to be able to taste the regionality of each brewery.
Our good friends at Zillicoah have put together an American Hefeweizen that we're really excited about. That one's going to be almost a 50-50 mix of the Appalachian wheat and the North Carolina Select. Really, really super simple grain bill for that style. This is a classic, beer style that's been around for hundreds of years, and so there's no if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. And so they brought those two together, and with being an American Hefeweizen, I assume they're probably going to kick up the hops a little bit, maybe make some more modern choices than just the standard noble hops that typically go into that style. So really cool. I can't wait to see how that one's going to turn out as well.
We make beers that we want to drink. I think a lot of breweries, they have to do what sells the most, and that's kind of their focus. And that's great, but that's just not where we're at. Luckily, we don't have to do that. We are able to make beers that we want, and hoping that people like it. And I think if you have passion and you work hard enough doing something, you can get away with that. You can get away with making stuff that you love if you do it good enough. And I hope that's what we do.
Yeah, there's a lot of breweries that are independent, and like I look at us as super independent, and we're really lucky to have that luxury. Everybody knows IPA keeps the lights on, and we love IPA, but like right now, for example, we've got one on. We've come to be known for other styles, German lagers with an Appalachian twist on them, and some of our our wild beers. So we're really lucky that we're able to do that, and I think that's part of what makes us. I don't really love the word unique, but it separates us a little bit and separates our customer base. People come here and they know what they're liking, and they're coming here for specific stuff, and it's pretty awesome that we have that luxury. Mm-hmm.
When you look out into this tap room and you see that everybody's participating in what you have created and what they are putting into their bodies and having an influence on everybody's experience, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, and yeah, I mean, there's the old adage, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. That is not true. We work our asses off, but you don't count hours because you are carrying out a vision. We hold ourselves to a very high standard, and when we nail something, we just kind of look at each other and hug, and we're like, yes. And it's always nice when it lands with other people as well.
This place being a real simple gathering place for the community, I think is huge. I think our ethos comes through in our beers, and it comes through in the space, and it is a big part of our lives. It's how we live, and we live. The whole thing is just being simple and not effing it up, and not overcomplicating things, and not getting lost trying to go down some road that somebody else paved for you. It's all pretty simple. We just wanted a good place where people feel safe and they can come together and have a beer with their friends and family, and have some good food in a relaxed atmosphere, and to be able to provide that is awesome.